Hey everybody, Jordan here with Jordan Smith Ministries. I just wanted to hop on here and start a new segment on the channel. I was looking at the channel, and first of all, I just want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in and subscribing and liking the content. It's encouraging to me as a preacher of the gospel, but I felt that it was a little sterile. I thought that, boy, we could add more to this, maybe a new segment or something, more than just long form sermons and short clips of the sermons that I preach throughout the week and on Sunday. And so I'm going to call this the Man Behind the Pulpit. And I'm hoping that you can get to know me a little bit more, kind of see what I do in my daily life and prep for sermons and kind of some of the things I encounter as a minister of the gospel. So I'll start with just a little bit about me. I'm an evangelist, so I'm not what you would call a pastor, but I just stick to the gospel. I stick to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I stick to Jesus, born of a virgin, perfect life, a criminal's death, and then rose from the tomb. And I try to lead people to the cross and trust God to do the rest. And so that's where I stay. That's kind of where God called me, exactly where God called me, and so I travel around and do different things and work in my local church and things like this to just really encourage people to get on board with Jesus. So anyway, for today, I had a couple meetings and different things of some things that had to get nailed down. Meetings are not my favorite thing to do. I try to keep it simple. I don't like to get worked up with that stuff, but I had to do that. And today I want to talk a little bit about some things that have been brought up to my attention recently and just off the cuff thoughts. These aren't detailed messages or anything that I'm going to put on here. What I'm going to call these are called a micro message, just a short little thing I'm going to add to some of the videos. Some of them won't have a message in them, just kind of the day. But you know, doctrine in the church and people's theology, the science of God, it can become very contentious. It can become a place of conflict for a lot of believers, and it actually we can get so tied up in the politics of religion that we sort of lose the love and the grace of it all. And so, um, people come to me all the time and they say, "Do you believe in pre-trib or post-trib? Do you believe in free will or predetermination? Do you believe in eternal security or conditional security?" And at the end of the day, I have beliefs on a lot of those topics, but at the end of the day, what difference does it make? Why don't we just love the Lord? Let him guide you through the text as to what you will believe, but ultimately just love the Lord. Look, if we have to endure the tribulation, we'll still go home with Jesus. If we get pulled out before the tribulation, hey, we'll get to go home with Jesus. If so, in any situation, I just would say rest and just trust Jesus and what he would have you to do, and he'll comfort you in those times. So I just kind of wanted to get on here and say that and introduce myself a little bit. I'm a very simple minister of the gospel. I keep it stupid simple, as they say. I don't complicate things. I don't. The gospel is simple and so sufficient in its simplicity, and so I try to aspire to lead a simple, quiet life, to mind my own business and work with my hands. And so I hope that you can see that through my ministry here, and I would hope that something said here on this channel will encourage you, or maybe if you've seen me in person. And I just thank you again for your support. And if you haven't subscribed or like the content, there's plenty of stuff, hours of content to watch on here. I would just encourage you to go look, and if you like what you see, consider subscribing. It definitely means a lot when people do that, and it just helps further the gospel. Hey, it's free, so why not, right? Tomorrow I'll be out of town. I have an engagement in Gahanna, Ohio, at a small church. They called me in and have asked me to come and do an evangelistic service. So I'll be up there tomorrow. I'm going to be preaching on Joseph. I have my notes down here. Actually, I can kind of just talk about it briefly. But Joseph's life was unbelievable. The forgiveness that he had. He was sold into slavery by his brothers, and through a lot of just drama. He was accused of things he didn't do, thrown in jail. Um, he became the second in hand to Pharaoh in Egypt, and very powerful. And anyway, he forgave his brothers at the end. But what I'm going to preach on tomorrow is in the 50th chapter of Genesis, which is right at the end of the book. I'll kind of Joseph said to them, "Do not be afraid, for I am in the place of God. But as for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good in order to bring it about as it is this day to save many people alive." So what seemed to be working for bad actually turned good, and God had a plan, and nothing man did could hinder that plan. Actually, what seemed bad was part of God's plan to get him where he ended up. So that goes into a verse I love, and I'm going to share it with you, and I hope it encourages you on your walk of faith. But let me find it here. It's in the book of, if I know how my Bible goes, it's in the book of Romans. There's nothing better than when you're preaching and you can't find your place. It's like, terrible. It says this, Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. So Joseph was called by God, and God had a purpose for him, and God worked all that bad together for good, and that is so encouraging. And so even when we're on the road of life, and things seem like they're all going bad, you never know. Maybe God has a great victory ahead, and something's just going to be incredible that ends up happening. So just keep trusting God. But even if that incredible thing never happens, even if you kind of have to struggle along, you have victory waiting, and heavenly rest. So just keep trusting in Jesus. I'll tell you, sometimes in my ministry, I think, God, why is this happening? And I have to remind myself, and God has to remind me, don't quit. Just keep going ahead. And, it either works out for a lot better than I ever thought, or it just goes behind me and I keep moving. So, but it's just incredible to read that. And the reason I'm preaching on that is the church I'm preaching at tomorrow. I'm really excited. 85 years ago, my great great grandparents helped build that church, and 85 years later, I get to preach in that pulpit. So I'm really looking forward to that. What I'll do is that video will come out on the 20th of this month. That sermon, it'll be a week. I don't know when this video will go out, but it'll be on the 20th of July 2025. It'll come out that morning, Sunday morning, as long as it videos. Sometimes my videos have a mind of their own, and they just, and I can't stop when I'm preaching to fix them. So, but anyway, I just hope that you'd be blessed, and I just want you to get to know me and relate with me. I'm not a hard guy to relate with. I'm just a normal guy. I'm just a forgiven sinner, just trying to tell you where I found forgiveness, and now I'm counted among the saints because I accepted Christ. So anyway, I'll take you along for some journeys, vacations, and prepping sermons. And if this is something you want to see and people watch it, then I'll keep making them. Like I said, I'm going to call this the Man Behind the Pulpit. So anyway, you be blessed. Thanks for watching. God bless you and keep you.